Okay, so recently I closed an engagement to set up a company in Labuan, not really a company, to register a branch of a foreign company in Labuan. And the client also wanted our assistance to set up a marketing office or to apply for a marketing office in Kuala Lumpur because that's where they would be based. So, and we also had to open a bank account for this company. The first difference is Malaysia mainland company requires a nominee resident director, which we normally provide if the client doesn't have any directors who are resident in Malaysia, but the company must be registered with one local resident director. Whereas Labuan, you do not need to have a locally resident director. All the directors can be foreigners. And the second main difference would be that in Malaysia mainland, companies are set up by the Companies Commission of Malaysia, whereas Labuan companies are set up by the Labuan International Business and Financial Center, Labuan IBFC. Okay, so the first requirement is you must have at least one director and at least one shareholder. The director must be an individual. The shareholder can be a corporate shareholder or it can be an individual. The minimum requirement for share capital is not really defined, can be like 1 Malaysia ringgit, but we do recommend our clients, especially those who would like to employ foreigners using these entities, to at least have a minimum share capital of about Malaysia ringgit 250,000. Those are the main requirements. Then we will prepare all the documents for our clients to sign. Once the documents are signed, we will submit them to the Labuan IBFC for registration. And all the documents from the client, for example, the passport copy, recent proof of address, the due diligence documents that we will request from the clients need to be certified. That depends because, for example, like the one that I recently completed, our client just wanted us to register the branch and then open a bank account and apply for a marketing office in Kuala Lumpur. So the entire process took us about 5 months, I would say 5 months, because there was a delay from the client side, actually. It would have taken about 3 months to complete the engagement, but the bank account took a little bit longer than we expected because the bank kept on asking for additional documents, seeing as it was a branch. We needed more information from the parent company in the UK. So usually it will take, I would say, 2 weeks to register a company in Labuan once we have received all the documents, original certified documents and the signed registration forms. It will take us about 2 weeks to register the company. And then for the corporate bank account opening, I would give it 3 months maximum. Oh yeah, and for the marketing office application, the process, once we submit the documents to the authorities, will take 1 month. The main challenge was when we were setting up the marketing office, the authorities came back because the client's business activity that was indicated on their business plan was different from the parent company business activity. So the authorities wanted us to amend the UK articles to reflect what was indicated on the business plan. But we found a workaround solution through our company secretary who amended some information that was submitted to the authorities, and they accepted this. The main highlights are, initially, we were engaged by this client to set up a representative office in Malaysia. And based on their company profile and their business activity, this was not possible because a representative office in Labuan is registered by MIDA, which is a different authority, and there is a scope of business activities that they accept to register as a representative office. So we quickly informed the client and we advised our client how to proceed because they wanted to move fast. And the fastest way for us to move was through the Labuan entity. So we were able to save this engagement and advise our client accordingly and provide the required information to proceed. The main thing with Labuan right now is that there are economic substance requirements. The main ones in Labuan are that you need to have at least 2 employees for your company. You need to have an office in Labuan, and you need to have an operating expenditure of about 50,000 Malaysia ringgit. So these are the main requirements for those companies whose businesses are within the scope of economic substance requirements. That is the main thing for the client to maintain a 3% tax rate in Labuan. They will need to meet all those requirements for economic substance. Another thing that clients need to be aware of is that audit is now mandatory for Labuan companies, regardless of what the business activity is. So that is one other thing. And the last thing that clients need to be aware of is annual general meetings in Labuan are also mandatory. If you're watching this video on YouTube channel, welcome to our channel. For those who are new, for those returning, also welcome back. And I would like to advise that if you're interested in business-related content, we upload videos every week on different jurisdictions about different topics. So if this is something that is of interest to you, keep logging in and we will provide you as much information as possible. And if you have any questions, you can always ask the questions in the comment box below or in the description box. Our contact details will also be provided below.